Collectibles friends, back again for another video. Sealed Pokemon investing can be fun hoarding. Maybe your girlfriend or your wife might not agree, your boyfriend, whatever, might not necessarily agree, but I think for collectors, a lot of us are collecting things that are taking up space and so forth. And as I've gotten more and more into the sealed Pokemon market, sealed product, I'm starting to get a feeling like, hey, you know what? I can hoard this stuff. And actually, the more that I'm hoarding, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. And you see this all over YouTube. You know, you look at the background of all the YouTube channels, not necessarily mine, but you've got boxes, sealed boxes. The most famous, of course, is Rudy over at Alpha Investments with the Pokemon bathroom, etc. He's got boxes and boxes, and he's got not boxes, he's got cases and cases, warehouses of the stuff. Now, as we've seen really over the last year as we head into 2025 is this particular market, the sealed Pokemon market. Now, I can't necessarily speak for individual trading cards, buying, grading, selling, that sort of thing. I'm really only speaking on the sealed side of things. When I'm looking at this, when I'm studying it, it has really turned a corner. Obviously, Pokemon, when the pandemic hit, you saw huge price increases in all collectibles, frankly, and trading cards and individual Pokemon cards, of course. And I don't know, did sealed boxes go up dramatically in 2020, 2021? That's something that I haven't really researched. I'm sure a lot of the vintage stuff did, a lot of the early, booster boxes and that sort of a thing. But Sword and Shield that came out in 2020 and 2021, did that stuff skyrocket upon release, the sealed stuff? I'm not entirely sure there. But in 2024, kind of end of 2023, heading into 2024, there has been a huge shift. And I personally know a handful of guys that have six figures in Pokemon sealed product that they are hoarding, collecting, speculating on, investing in, whatever you want to call that. One thing, though, that makes me comfortable about this particular space is I don't believe, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think there's a handful of whales that own 95% of this supply. It seems to me when I'm watching YouTubers, when I'm online, when I'm looking at social media, the sealed product hoarders, if you will, are spread around all over the place. And so why is that important? Well, the reason why that's important is because if one big whale, let's say Rudy from Alpha Investments, let's use him as kind of the main whale that's really out in front. I think he's got multiple millions of dollars in Pokemon products spread across a lot of different products. But what if he decided, you know what? I'm out. I'm dumping. He puts all of his supply out into the market. What would happen then? That's not something that this market, I don't believe, has really been tested with yet, but will be probably down the road, which some will just say, okay, bring that supply on, let those prices come down for whatever products that are being dumped, and they will be absorbed by all the other sealed folks, especially with all the product, if it's kind of a race to the bottom, to where just so much supply out there, not enough demand to reach it, and people are buying it up as it moves downward. It'll be really interesting because one thing that we have noticed and Rudy's talked about this himself, is even with prices having moved up quite a bit over the last year, in many cases doubled. Some of these booster boxes have doubled. I've also been buying, as an example, the 3-pack, the blister packs. I like the idea of the blister packs, the 3-pack blister packs in particular. I like the fact that it's got kind of the card behind it. It reminds me of what people love about collecting action figures, where they like to collect 80s, 90s action figures that are still in box. And I think that these will have similar nostalgia down the road. This is where I can get into Evolving Skies at $60, $70 each for these, as opposed to having to go in heavy at $1,000 for a booster box, for example. I can still get some exposure. As we've seen as well with breaking boxes, with rip and ships, specifically in Pokemon, there is a lot of product being opened. So you've got this combination of the sealed product holders, the hoarders, if you will, but then you also have a ton of people that are opening up new product, and not necessarily just the new product coming out, but Sword and Shield stuff or XY or whatever it is, even EX. People are opening all sorts of this stuff, and as more and more of it gets opened and less of it is sitting out there in the open market, of course, it's going to make prices go up. The demand right now for Pokemon is through the roof. You've got Prismatic is coming out here soon. There's pre-sales. I've been talking with friends, do I want to go in on some of these pre-orders for Prismatic, or do I want to try to chase retail? How do I want to do this? And I'm still trying to figure it out, but I've been putting in offers for the pre-sale, and my offers are getting declined, and then the stuff is sold. So it's almost like, man, if I don't buy some of the pre-sale stuff, is there going to be an opportunity to buy it at $80, $90, $100? Is there going to be an opportunity to buy ETBs at $80, $90, $100 for prismatic? And then I'm thinking like, man, do I want to put my money in a prismatic, or do I want to keep on going in on some of the sword and shield stuff, continuing to beef up positions in each individual product? Which products do we consider to be undervalued? Which ones do we think are kind of overrated? But this is something that's kind of fun because there's enough product that's been made over the last 25 years for Pokemon. You can be really selective. There is stuff out there. There are pockets, and you can kind of pick these pockets. One thing I talked about getting a few of in my past videos, I would really like to have just the single blister packs for like Fossil or Jungle. They're on eBay right now for, I don't know, $250 to $300 roughly. And it's one pack. So I know most people will be like, my God, that's crazy. I would much rather buy the blister pack with the card on the back. As I've explained, I'm comparing this to action figures where people collect. They want to have that back card. And I think, again, as time goes on, there's more nostalgia around Pokemon. I don't want to just have kind of flimsy packs, loose packs. I want to have a blister pack. And if it means I've got to pay another $20 or $30 or $40 to get the blister pack over just the loose pack. And let me say too, the $19.99, the Fossil, the Jungle packs, those loose packs, they're not rare. There's still lots of those out there. They printed a lot of that stuff. It's still available. So I want it to be a blister pack. I want it to be something that is carded. And of course, it's got all the information on the back of the card, and it's got, Wizards of the Coast and all that stuff. I want to have that sort of a thing. So adding in, kind of diversifying a little bit, not just booster boxes, not just ETBs, but also having some of the vintage stuff, just the blister packs. I'm fine with that. And maybe the same thing for EX, for example. I'm not necessarily going to be a guy that is buying into, saving up and buying into vintage booster boxes, not because necessarily the price, that's part of it. Buying a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 box, I'd have to really money plan for it and figure out how I would do it. But unless the box, this is going to sound kind of backwards, unless it's been CT scanned and the CT scan shows that it is what it is inside the box, like it actually shows, okay, there's actually Jungle cards, there's actually Fossil cards that are in this has not been messed with, I probably wouldn't buy a $10,000 box unless it's been CT scanned, which kind of goes against what we've been hearing about CT scanning. A lot of the CT scanning news has been more around trying to find the hit or the good cards in the boxes. But I'm actually thinking of it from a different standpoint of I would like to know that there's not G.I. Joe cards like what Logan Paul found out, his boxes having G.I. Joe cards in them. I want to know that there's actually the stuff inside. So I'm not spending huge on vintage booster boxes. I would rather play more of the volume game, do what most of people are doing now, going with kind of modern, ultra modern sets, but also not necessarily just looking at the newest set that came out. Sword and Shield, honestly, is a big one for me. That's where I'm really targeting. I've listened to others talk just fondly about that particular era of Pokemon cards, Sword and Shield, and I will focus a lot of attention around Sword and Shield booster boxes as I move forward here over the next few years. A lot of the reason why I like Sword and Shield too, especially kind of those earlier sets, is it's before Pokemon print runs really moved up a lot. And I know a lot of people will say, the print runs don't matter. Demand is so crazy high. I get all that. But if I'm spending roughly the same price for a Sword and Shield booster box as I would with a newer product, I'm probably going to err on, I want that 2020 product, because it was right before they really started to ramp up print runs for Pokemon cards. So sealed Pokemon card investing can be fun hoarding. Is this a good analogy? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.